We are live. The beeps are beeping, the boops are booping. What's going on, nerds? Welcome back to another episode of the Aggressively Average Angler podcast. And tonight we're gonna talk. We're gonna have a little debate, a civil debate. I think it's fair.
Discussion.
We're Switzerland on this. Like, I don't.
No, we're gonna
either
expound.
way. But we definitely want to dive deep into this topic that's been hot to trot ever since iCast dropped. The mega kayak, the world's biggest kayak in existence, according to most people. And we just want to talk about like the term kayak in general. What is a kayak? What defines a kayak? What makes something not a kayak? And should we care?
And that's
a kayak?
I think that's what important. So here's what this is really stemming from is the XTR, right? Which
XTR
is made by Bonafide, new drop, 13-foot kayak, built for two anglers to be able to stand on, move around comfortably, have a lot of space. Doesn't have any pedals at all. It is made for an electric motor at minimum one, right? That's the minimum. There's no option.
It's the juiced up PWR, right? So the PWR 129, if you guys go look at that from Bonafide, it's what a lot of guys were using for dual motor setups for tournaments, no pedal option. This is like big brother of that.
And no paddle. I mean, the only way you're getting around with this is really emergency paddle is it. Like that's it. So it's electric
Hoover
motor.
said he was going to do a speed test with a paddle. I'm like, bro, you ain't going nowhere.
Well, you can. It's just, I mean,
it'll
I'm sure
move like
fine. Like you can go, but like,
when we paddled our Hobies.
It's too wide. I mean, frankly, it's just too wide. That's anyway. So here's the deal. So that kayak gets dropped at iCast. This big, large mini plastic bass boat drops. Everyone at first is like, that is so cool. How neat. I now have a way to tournament fish this rig with me or me and my buddy can go. That's neato, gang. And then the comments got really like mean,
bad,
and it took a turn for the worst. And and it started with a lot of comments saying that's trash.
Yeah,
it's garbage. It shouldn't exist. And really, it was all around.
Whoa.
It's not a kayak. They were really upset that we were calling it, or it was labeled as a kayak. And while I I'm not saying they're wrong, because it's not meant to be paddled, so we can talk about that. But it's made by a kayak company. It's in the shape of a kayak, and kayaks these days can be propulsed in any way. And so they were really mad about that. But then when you kind of dug in, you're like, well, what are you talking? It's not trash. It's cool. Like some people are clearly thinking this is cool. When you boil it down, they were like, I don't want to pay for that, or I can't afford it. And so ipso facto, then it's, comically it's trash. And so I'm trying, that's what we want to talk about. It's like, okay, like let's put these into some different buckets. Let's talk about what those buckets are. Let's talk about the benefits of big kayaks, small kayaks, paddle, electric, right? The different propulsion options, and kind of, where should these play? And really, there is a question out there. Should we be breaking these tournaments down into, it's coming back again. Should we have electric motors allowed in kayaks? And initially it was like, should we even allow pedal kayaks in paddle kayak tourneys, right? Should we have paddle only, et cetera, et cetera?
Should there be divisions? It's
exactly
like the same idea with forward-facing sonar. Should there be a no sonar division, no motor division, no pedal division? Like, I don't know, you guys.
We're going to talk about, that's what we're going to talk about. We'll find out. We'll get your opinions, because I am really interested to hear what y'all have to say as well, as always.
So big guy in a little boat, need aisle fly water content soon. Guess what? Monday that's coming out. Paul and I
we bumped a bunch of videos to get that up.
Oh yeah, I'm still sitting on like 9 videos in the back catalog right now. I'm gonna try and hire an editor just so we can knock these things out. Maybe get you guys more videos more consistently. I said it live. Now it's a thing. I put it out in the ether, Paul. Sorry.
We've been talking about it.
Working on it, man. I'm working on it. But so the Flywater 12.6, sorry, not 126, 12.6. Anyways, that's from Isle. It's an inflatable. Paul and I both fished out of it this weekend together. We had 2 seats in there. It was so much fun, like a stupid amount of fun, to the point where Paul kept saying, "Isn't this so much fun?" Like you said that 12 times.
It's true though. I'd be saying
it was correct.
Sometimes I wouldn't even be fishing. I'd be kind of like guiding with the paddle because there was some wind. And
he would just lay back,
and I was just laying back with the paddles. And I was like, "Hey, put a frog over there." Right. And
I was motor guy. I was on the motor in the back. Put the Bixby on it. Got good speed. We went all the way around. We circumnavigated that lake,
a small lake, a medium-sized lake.
medium-sized lake, but when
Yeah.
we pedal around that or just paddle around it, I mean, it takes us some time. So we got around it with ease and caught some fish on just about every bait we were throwing, from baby glide baits to frogs to what was like the staple we were throwing that day?
Fluke.
Fluke. It was the special rig from the Ashegan guys. My guy Josh over at Ashegan taught this like upside down nose hook fluke trick with 5-inch flukes. And it's really cool. Just go check out Ashegan. He posts stuff about it all the time. But
banger.
Killer.
I went out and bought 25 size 1 finesse hooks just for that.
Did you get flukes? That you owe me because you burned through all of my churches.
Okay, right.
Okay.
The guy goes, "Don't bring your stuff. I got this." 20 minutes later,
I literally
couple bucks.
Like, I was caddy and supplier. I was rod caddy, so I was at the back of this fly water, and I'm handing him stuff out of the wilderness crate. I'm like, "Here you go."
I had a real tough time keeping my legs in the water and just dangling.
It was cool. It should be a fun video that'll drop on Monday. We include setup time, inflation time, deflation time, any pros and cons, and of course, fishing. So shall we do Q of the D?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, so we're going to be doing probably another kayak accessory video here pretty soon. We're working on getting some stuff in hand right now. But we want to ask, and before I ask, Rob Harrison comes in hot with 10 memberships to Aggressively Average Anglers. So some of y'all out there might just have gotten a membership for a month for free thanks to Mr. Rob here. And what that means for you that's important is you get to go to our members only live.
This is a big one, actually.
It's our post ICAST. We get to talk behind the scenes stuff, which we don't talk about on here.
No.
So you're going to hear all the dirty details of ICAST. And
details.
We're going to do a couple of schmivaways.
Can I tease it? Can I tease one of the topics?
Okay. Yes.
One of the #1 fishermen in the entire world made a crucial error live on our video. I have it.
Right behind us as we're filming.
Yeah. Tried to call it out. Tried to tell us we were wrong, and check the footage. Not
and
correct.
He was wrong.
Not correct. So if you want to hear that, amongst many other things, it's going to be a fun show.
What a dumb knucklehead. All right. So then in members only news, I think our next members only live is August.
We haven't. I don't think we. Yeah, you're right. Let me pull up because I think I put it on
6 or 13. Anyways, we'll come up with it. While we're looking at that, I just want to do a quick shout out to our new members that just jumped on board. So welcome aboard, Uncle Stumpy, Jason, just straight up Jason. I love that. The confidence, the swagger.
13.
Lucas Flint, Michael Rode, Stephen Ewan, Craig Lake, somebody else, Pi Squared, Ben Bellaro, Jack K, Johnny Nelson. Welcome aboard, all of you. Happy to have you. So make sure you make that members only live, which Paul's looking up on the.
I'm putting it in the chat right now.
Paul is putting it in the chat right now, and then you shall know. Next members only live Tuesday, August 13th, 8:15 p.m. Eastern. We will do some giveaways on that as well. So.
Oh yeah, I got a pile.
Yeah, we got stuff. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be awesome. All right. Let's get back to Q of the D. Q of the D for today. I want to ask you first, Paul, I guess, and I'd love to hear from you guys in chat. What is the most overrated kayak accessory? What is the accessory when you're doing a new build? You get a new kayak, or a buddy asks you, "What should I get for my kayak?" You're like, "Don't get this. Never get this thing. Everybody thinks you need it. It's stupid. Don't buy it." What is that?
Yeah, it's hard. It's pretty hard. And it kind of depends on the kayak. So I would say if you have a pedal kayak, I think that an overrated accessory is crazy. This is nuts. I'm going controversial with this one. If you have a pedal kayak, a decent one, I think an anchor is overrated.
Ooh.
And that's one of the and that's if it's any other type of kayak, I'm pulling that back instantly. And it's the reverse, where it's one of the first things I would put on. I think what's a cup holder? I think that's one of the other most underrated ones.
Hard disagree on the cup holder. It's absolutely rated appropriately.
You don't think it's underrated? You don't think cup holder is underrated?
Underrated?
Yeah,
Yeah,
think
I
so.
guess I could go underrated. I think
I
you
think
have
it's
to have
underrated. I think when you
it's a
get
bait
one,
graveyard, and
yeah, you
it holds my
realize
drinks.
how many different things it does for you. Even like your phone,
I want
sometimes you
I
dump it in
want
there. Like,
3. I want
yeah,
3 of
I
them,
agree.
man.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, for sure.
Okay, anchor trolley, sure. I'd never use anchor trolleys
Same thing though. Same
anymore. I run
concept.
it off the back. A paddle, JK, nice one. Keel guard,
Eh,
keel guard, I disagree with as well. Even with like the thicker plastic of like the Titan X, I hate gouging up the keel on the bow because every time you run aground, it's getting jacked up. I personally, it's a pet peeve. I don't know. I think they're worth it. The what's the sidewinder? Yak Attack sidewinder.
I
Do
feel
you know
like
what
we
that one
just
is?
looked at that like very recently, didn't we?
Did we?
I swear to God, we just looked at it.
All right. Well, I was going to say my answer for this would be actually maybe also controversial rod holders, specifically trolling style ones. I don't think you need them. I just
100%.
don't. You can troll without them too. And then if you have like the wildy crate, you can angle your rods back on the
Yep.
crate rod holders I'm talking about are necessary. The
Yes.
additional ones on tracks, I think, are totally overrated. And some of them are like $80. And I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah. That's the only accessory from Yak Attack I tend to not
Yeah.
like tell people to get. It's the only one.
The sidewinder is just the manual anchor line. That's all that is. So anchor related things popped up a whole bunch on here. So people are actually, your answer, not controversial. People agree.
Some people said, I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
For some people, it's important. I also think for someone said, well, so I agree with you. If you're a crate person, yes, it's 100% over. You don't need any additional. I've got 4 or 5 I haven't used in years.
Fair enough. Also,
I think rod stagers
too. I'm just not into them. Not into them. I think they are kind of overrated. DeBurley, AAA hype man, what's up, my dude? Being 100% honest, I wouldn't fish tournaments or as much in a kayak without a motor or pedals. I think mobility wise, and this is kind of what I think he's leaning on as well, just mobility, and then also like water covered. Like a lot of people are going to be in that boat.
Who wants to put in that much effort if you don't have to? That's fair.
If you haven't had a motor
or been on
gotten onto bigger water
or fished with someone who has one when you do not.
And this is the other thing that's interesting that'll come up when we're going to get in the meat now. I want to do a disclaimer first, but before I do that, the interesting thing about this is when people are going around saying that's garbage, this is garbage. My instant question is, have you used it? Have you seen it in person? Have you experienced it at all? Can you say it's garbage if you haven't? You can't. And like, we honestly made that mistake a long time ago on the channel. We used to just be like, this is trash, that is trash. We've like really toned that back because we're like, okay, well, that's not really fair. And to be honest, like it's really helped with any conversation we have with anybody who designs baits or owns a company, because you know you're just poo-pooing on their livelihood when you do that. But just for conversation in general, you guys, if you haven't tried it, you can't sit here and be like, that's garbage.
You sound like my 5-year-old when he's like, that's gross, whatever food he's eating. And I'm like,
here's your green beans,
have
bud.
you tried it? No. He'll look at a food and be like, that's gross. I'm like, have you tried it? And he's like, no. And I'm like, how? You have no idea. You really have no idea. I understand that you think it looks gross.
You're wrong.
But there's a lot of food that jambalaya looks gross. It's one of the best foods that you can possibly taste. So you think you understand, but you really don't. You don't like people are going to talk trash about the XTR. There's probably only 5,000 people at that point who have actually seen in real life the XTR. And that guy's like now an expert. And the worst thing to me is people will challenge. This has happened a lot recently. It happened like last night, and I was going to bed, so I didn't keep going with it.
Good.
But some guy was like, "Oh yeah, you know, this rod would cost like $50 max," and I'm like, "It's not true."
Oh, the American-made margins.
If it costs them that much to make it, they would just charge you way less. It's way better to have a whole bunch of sales and have a huge brand and raise your pricing later than it is to sell something super expensive and never make it out of alive. Especially when all your competition is pricing a couple of bucks underneath just to win.
Right.
You wouldn't charge $300 more if you could charge $4 less than everyone else and have a better product. So I'm like, just on the face, totally wrong. But then I'm like, hey, you know, I am actually a professional buyer and I do this fishing stuff in industry. I'm talking to people all the time. The guy's like, you really know nothing. You know what I mean? You're just good at making videos. I'm like, but I want, if I was in
My
person, I'd be
favorite
like,
response.
what do you do? Are you a rod builder? Do you, you're a guy, frankly, sorry. But like, you're going to tell me I don't know anything. And then you couldn't answer that question. And this is what happens a lot of times because it's the internet and the internet is insane.
This is another great point from Tyler Duncan here. And those, 5,000 wieners out there haven't seen the final product anyways, because Hans is still revising it. He said this when we were there. First of all, Hans is the freaking man. Hans knows how to make boats. He's a genius. And when you're just like, nah, it's dumb. Like, if you haven't seen it, hasn't been revised, just calm down for a little bit. We'll figure it out. All right. So before we get into it, I want to post a little disclaimer here right at the front end of this. We sit on an island called Fun and Fishing. We want people to go out
surprisingly small island.
Surprisingly small island
with a low population.
If you guys are in the industry, if you could read our comments, oh my gosh, surprisingly this island small. I thought we were here to have fun.
I thought it was the mainland. I was very wrong.
So we're on this island. We just want people to get out. We want them to fish. We want them to be nice to our environment. And
I don't care how you do it.
I don't care how you do it. So when we talk about stuff tonight, we're not going to be arguing in the defense of all kayaks should be big or all kayaks should be paddle only.
Or we just them all kayak or not.
Exactly. Who cares what it's called? Like, you should just be going out and having fun. That is the literal argument that we are going to stand by today. So I want to make sure I put that out there. I also want to put out there, if you haven't tried something, if you haven't experienced it in person, it's stupid to jump into a comment thread and drag people for liking something. That's dumb. Yeah, that's super dumb. Please stop doing that. You're a bad person if you love doing that. All right. End of story.
Well, it's yucking someone's yum, right?
It's so dumb.
Again, something you would tell a 5-year-old, don't yuck someone's yum. It's okay that you don't like it. You don't have to make them feel bad for liking it. Do you want them to come poo-poo your stuff? No, you don't. You don't want poo-poo on any of your stuff. So don't poo-poo on other people's stuff.
Poo, and poo. That you just hit our quota of poo-poos for the episode. Nice work.
We're good.
But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you guys, can we just have civil discourse on this? Like the amount of comments that are all caps and just screaming, I hate this. Like, it's fine if you don't like something. That's okay. That's totally fine. Mom used to say, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Shut the hell up.
That's what your mom said.
That's what my mom said. All right, so let's get into this. So the one thing I thought was interesting is I want to kind of start with like the definition of a kayak, because now it seems very important to have a discussion about the actual definition of what a kayak is and what is not a kayak, and maybe we need to come up with a new category or two. So things that are definitely kayaks in my mind. Let's start there. For me, oh shoot, you're gone.
I lost you for a second. What kind of delay are we working with here?
All right, 30 minutes. Let's start with the definition of what a kayak absolutely is, right? So to me, I'll start, and you can tell me where I've departed from reality.
Okay.
A kayak for sure to me is a sit inside or sit on top boat made out of plastic that you paddle, and that's the only way you get around. I think that is.
I will say that you can paddle, in my opinion.
No. I'm saying I'm not getting that far. We're gonna get there. I'm saying that definitely is a kayak, though.
I'm just saying,
right? No, I know we're gonna get there, but I'm saying for right now, that's 100. There's no question that something you paddle, and that's the only way you get around is definitely a kayak, right?
I'm with it.
Okay. The next thing would be that exact same description: sit inside or sit on top. But even though there's no there might be one, but not many sit inside.
Yeah.
If you can pedal it and paddle it, you do both.
Still a kayak.
I think that is still a kayak.
Agreed.
Can we put that one to chat? I think, or is that pretty safe?
That's all right. Safe, right. Let's vote on it. Chaz, are pedal kayaks?
You have to be able to, but you have to be able to paddle it too. It can't just be a pedal in this instance.
So we're not.
You have to be able to pedal and paddle.
All right. Should we also define like the specific shape? The roundabout shape is a pointed bow. But now we have the pontoon with the wilderness.
It needs to be a pointed bow. Why does that matter?
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking just pedal boats. Like, could you can't really paddle.
That's what I'm getting at. That's the difference between maybe kayak and not kayak to me is if it's still it's kind of intended to be also paddleable, even if it's not great.
It's width, right?
The width allows you to paddle it.
One thing that came up with the fly water was people are jumping all over us because when we interviewed Jimmy from Isle, he was like, this is our hybrid sup kayak. And like literally hybrid sup kayak, and everybody was like, "You can't say kayak.
Dude,
It's inflatable.
lost it.
It
This
doesn't
was a
look like it
common
at all."
theme, guys. This was the
Yep,
this was the XTR. This
yep.
was the one, the Wilderness Systems new Tactical Pro. This was the
Flywater,
Flywater. I mean, it
Newport
was
raft.
yeah, it was with yeah. Oh my god, it was
The
constant.
list went on. We haven't even posted a short on the Newport raft yet. Wait till we get those comments. But the reason that he says that is and the same with the Newport, it's designed to fit between your wheel wells on your truck. Like it's the width. And like if it goes upwards of 41 inches is the unlimited, 41 new canoe unlimited, I think.
Yeah.
Is there a width at a certain point where it becomes not a kayak? Like a paddle boat for pond pleasure cruises with 2 pedal systems is super duper wide because it fits 2 people.
But you can't.
wide.
But you cannot paddle that. So let's keep going because that's why I'm kind of going through the list. So pedal kayaks that you can paddle are still kayaks according to the crew here. So 98% yes, 2%. By the way, if you're 2% no, that's fine. Like this is not. There's no wrong.
Who is
answer.
it?
I'm just curious what most people are kind of thinking. So like if you're the 2%, you guys can be loud. You can be 10%. You can be 50%. It's whatever you want. There's no again. This is not important. We're not saving lives. We're just talking about it. So it's all good. So the comment we have listed here, a big guy in a little boat. You can paddle a Hobie PA14. You can also cut your you can also you can do something to yourself. And you can have a bad idea as well. So I think his point here that I'm not going to read out loud is that
everybody can see it. Don't worry.
You can paddle a Hobie 360, a giant big kayak, but it's really not pleasurable. It's not. And he's right. He's totally right. And some of the boats, kayaks, we're going to talk about. I use the term boat. I rarely say kayak anymore.
I say boat, and I get yelled at for saying boat.
I say boat all the time.
You're like, there's not a boat, there's kayak. And I'm like, what is it?
Well, boat is a broad definition. You can't call my kid's toy boat a boat. You know what I mean? Like then what? I mean,
a kayak by definition is a boat. So
that's what I'm saying. So that's why I like to say boat because it just seems more accurate, honestly, these days. Yeah. Anyways, okay, so again, 2%, be as loud as you want, y'all. We're not arguing here. We're just talking. So next up, I would say would be electric motor of any type and or pedal, but it's still paddleable. So same question, but this time it's electric. You got a motor on it, a water vessel made of plastic. I don't even know how to, can you get any more whatever. So that would be my question.
Just like, this is my plastic water vessel.
My plastic hybrid skiff boat
flotation vessel. My floatable plastic vessel. It all counts. It all counts. All right. So Chad's throwing in here. Would a kayak with a motor still be a kayak? Think about this before you guys answer. The base model, like and we'll get to the XTR later, but like the foundation of a kayak with a motor is a kayak. It just now has a motor. And this is where a lot of people jump the shark. They're just like, I'm out. No way. That's wrong. That's not a kayak. It's not human powered is a term that I see all the time.
Highlight Twitch here.
Oops, I missed when chat moves up on me. Yeah. Electric motors have to be registered. So kayaks with electric motors, I think in all states have to be registered. Yes. Also, guess what, you guys? I don't know if you knew this. I keep getting comments and I learn stuff all the time. In a few states, you have to register any vessel over 10 feet. Anything. Yep. It doesn't matter if it has
10 feet is really low, by the way. Usually, like in Michigan, I think it's 14 feet and above. So that delineates between 12 and 16
it's 17 for us.
For really?
No motor.
With no motor. Yeah, I'm talking about with no
motor, you still have to register. But yeah,
so 10 foot is. I'm saying, but not only including
it's over 12.
It's including
over 12.
No, because 12 footers are, I think, exclusive in Michigan.
Yours is under 12. Why'd you register your light tackle if you didn't have to register it?
Hold on,
just curious. Okay,
actual boats like actual boat,
like a John.
Correct. It actually a metal like boat, a John boat you can get away with when it's under. Anyways, that is a really pretty aggressive law, but I think I wanted to call out.
This is a pretty good one. A small vessel propelled on water by oars, sails, or engine. If that's the definition,
it really rolls off the tongue. So God dang, that's insane. Oh, so Ted Cushing called it out 17 feet. So that totally makes sense. And that's exactly why even 17 was included. I think it used to be back in the day when I was first got my boat. Anyway, this is all irrelevant. Mm-hmm. Where are we going here? We got.
So would a kayak with a motor still be a kayak? The answer is yes, 90 to 10. 90% are saying, yes, it is still a kayak. And I'm in agreement because, again, the base, the foundation, it's a kayak. I mean, it could be a big kayak, but it was a kayak. Now it has a motor.
So now let's find out where the rubber hits the road. So now I will ask you the same couple questions. If it's, I'm going to just go straight to it. If it is pedal, so you can pedal it, but then I don't think one exists. But if you can pedal it, but you cannot paddle it, it's too big for a paddle. The only thing you do is like one side and you could barely move. If that existed, would that be
some rafts, but one person
none
paddle?
Exist? Oh, let's go to it. Electric motor only, no pedal. You cannot paddle it. It is not a kayak.
No pedal, no paddling. It's a motor only kayak.
Is that a kayak?
Is that a kayak?
I say no. I would vote no.
And this is where semantics come into play. And it's like, what do we call it? And the answer to me is, I don't care what you call it. But
well, no, but you can't
call it a boat.
I can't call it a kayak though at that point. I wouldn't do that.
I can.
I'll give you a great example.
And that's the XTR argument people are making.
But the XTR, I think you can paddle.
You can paddle.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to whoever's point earlier. No, you wouldn't want to. It'd be a horrible idea. It'd be like doing what he would do to himself in that instance that he made up. It'd be a bad idea. And so,
also this. If
it ain't glitter, so it's not a bass boat.
That ain't no bass boat, buddy.
Facts, buddy. Facts. So I would say this too. And if you go backwards a step to the boat that doesn't, well, it does exist. Yeah, there is actually one. We were talking about it earlier.
Which one?
2-person pedal, little.
Oh yeah, the pond pleasure,
the pond
cruiser,
yeah,
right?
the cruiser.
My in-laws
there's
just bought one.
you cannot paddle it, but you can pedal it. I think I don't like this. I don't like this at all. But because it's human powered and it just can be human powered, I would put it in the kayak.
Don't say it. Why are you doing this to us?
I would.
Gosh,
but that's like this is a technicality, right?
Technicality.
So imagine the unlimited 12. Imagine the unlimited 12.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Imagine it has a pedal drive, because you can add a pedal drive to that boat. But now imagine it was like 4 feet wide, 48 inches wide, and there's no way you could paddle it at all. If you can pedal drive it, though, would you still call it a kayak?
That, to me,
whether or not there's a motor on it, either way.
So my criteria is maybe weird, but I think it's width.
Yeah.
I think it's width. It's like if you're side by siding it.
Why is it width? Hold on, but why is it width?
So that you can paddle it.
Exactly. So I think that's actually what matters. If you can paddle it, and the question is or pedal. The question is or. No, I think you have to be able to paddle. Like you have to have a kayak paddle of normal length, not 19-foot rod, like a normal paddle. I think
which is what I'm trying to tell him right now. It's a paddle boat.
Okay, yeah, I know what it is. We're getting weird, but we're exploring, right? We're expounding. So my question,
we're broadening her horizons.
We're broadening her horizons. So I disagree. Yes, it ends up being width, but I think ultimately the definition, if you can paddle it, no matter how you normally do it, if it's possible to paddle, I think it's still a kayak. So the Newport inflatable is not a kayak.
You don't think you can paddle the Newport?
No.
It's only a little wider.
Way too high, though. You're not paddling that. It's not intended.
In the seat. In the seat. Yeah. No, totally. It's so like SUPs, for example, you can paddle.
I'm taking double side paddle. Not an oar.
Right. So if you're not using an oar, SUPs also don't count because on a stand-up paddle
not a kayak.
Stand, and it's that single handle, single side paddle.
Yeah.
So okay.
To Burley, my parents paddled me. Does that make me a kayak? Savage, bro. I think we're all kayaks, dude. I need to get a hand paddle, and the sign just says "We're all kayaks."
We're all kayaks. I can make you a kayak.
It's a guy winding up with a paddle.
Hang on, buddy. I'm about to make this guy a kayak.
I'm gonna make this guy a kayak. This guy thinks he's not a kayak.
Guy thinks he's not a kayak over here.
Soft.
About to be a kayak.
So soft. You cop. You kayak.
Randy, this is what I'm saying too. Shape, in my opinion, shape has to be considered as well. So it's width, and it's also like the water dynamic shape.
Why?
That like pointed bow area.
Why? I'm gonna go back to why. Yeah.
Why not?
Because if I can paddle it, even if it's crappy, that's how it's intended to be propelled. It's kayak. I don't care if it's in the shape of a cube. It doesn't matter. If you're
what kayaks do we know of that don't have a pointed bow?
what's the kayak? Well, one, the Wilderness Systems, the Tactical
Actually,
Pro.
no, it has a pointed bow. It's
Two
pointed
tunes.
keel.
It's flat in the
Keel,
front.
the
Oh,
tunes
you're right. It
merge
does
to a
have.
bow.
It has a little bit. You're right. You're right. Okay.
Yep.
What about the what was that one that Cabela's had? The Ascent.
The Ascent had a pointed bow. I don't think there is one.
Yeah.
Not that we've ever.
There's no
looked at.
reason for one. That doesn't mean that.
Exactly.
That just means. But so hold
But
on.
you can square off the back. You
What
lose a little.
What square?
a
What
little
boat
dynamics.
is not? What boat? Anywhere, any boat doesn't have a pointed bow.
Exactly.
So why does that definition matter? Because then you could call
Ours
it
are plastic though. That's why they're kayaks too.
That's really important though.
It is. They're plastic.
I agree.
Pointed bow,
but
not too wide.
Are you saying the fly water is not a kayak?
The,
are you saying a boat, Lono Arrow, is not a kayak?
For why? What?
It's
Because of materials?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're rafts, in my opinion. If you want to call it a kayak,
Lono Arrow is a kayak.
I don't care if you call it a kayak. It's a hybrid. If you preface with hybrid,
it's just an inflatable kayak.
Hold your horses. If you
Okay.
preface with hybrid, you can say whatever you want because it's a hybrid.
Well, you're a
shape of
hybrid
a kayak.
kayak.
I know. It's the
I don't know
shape of a
why. I
kayak.
don't know why it has to be a hybrid though, because it is literally called an inflatable kayak. Like that. That is what the eye attack is.
They can call it whatever they want. The eye attack is all right. So inflatable kayak.
Yeah, it's a kayak.
Yeah, it's technically a form of plastic.
Kayak,
also,
bro.
the material is.
Sure,
It's an inflatable.
but it's
hang on.
But the idea that it's made of plastic is rigid plastic.
It's not a kayak. It's an inflatable kayak.
Exactly.
It's different.
But it is a
there
kayak.
are tables and there are inflatable.
It's kayak. It's a kayak.
There are chairs and inflatable chairs.
It's a kayak.
What about wood kayaks? The original kayak was wood, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's a kayak. They're all kayaks. Doesn't matter what they're made of.
I still think
if they can be paddled, not even have to be. They can be paddled.
Shape and width lean their hand to paddle ability, though, too.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm saying that's you wouldn't define an atom by like all the parts. It's like the very most minute one. So the definition here, ultimately, whether or not the shape is kayak-esque or not. That's why I was making the point about it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be in the shape of a boat. It should be to be efficient, but it doesn't have to be. A rectangle absolutely could be a kayak. There's no reason why it couldn't. If it's supposed to be paddled, yeah, I think it's kayak.
I've seen a concrete kayak.
A displacement's real.
Floating?
It's displacement. It doesn't matter what it weighs. That's why like steel boats shouldn't be able to float, but they're made of all steel. Displacement doesn't care what it's made of.
I would love to watch a concrete kayak float. I don't believe it. Don't. Shape and width to length ratio.
No one would ever make that.
What, a chart on shape?
I see what he said. I thought he meant it has to be longer than wider. Yeah, that's what I think he means. The kayak can't be. So I don't know why.
Shape as in width to length ratio.
The rate, he needs it to be not. Fair. Yeah, sure, but no one would ever make that as a boat, paddleable or otherwise.
Because then it would be a raft.
It's dumb.
well, what are you? You're arguing against yourself though, because you're saying like
it would be dumb to make a kayak that would normally go this way in the water and make it now do this way in the water. No one would do that. Why would anyone do that?
What are we talking about, man?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. So when he says shape, as in
longer than it is wide, and no one would make one wider than it is long.
Exactly. Correct. That's what I'm saying. No one would make one that's wider than it is long. Correct.
So it fits your definition of kayak. It
would just be it would be a horrific kayak, but yes.
No, he's saying the part of the definition of kayak should be that it's longer than it is wide, which
I don't think it should be.
Fits almost everything that you're talking about.
100%. So, but it doesn't matter if it's not. You wouldn't disclude one because it's.
I would, because it'd be a log rolling sideways down a river.
But you can't. So you can't. Okay, so why would
no one's making that boat?
Why would that not be a cat? Why would that not be a kayak?
Because it's a tree that is not formed into any shape.
Are you paddling?
Because of this argument.
Was it made to be paddled?
You're doing a negative debate thing here. So first of all, you're wrong. First of all, you're wrong. Second of all, Randy is correct, and he's saying what I was trying to say, which I believe should be a definition for a kayak. What's the argument against that? Nobody's going to make one too wide. So it won't exist.
But we're not talking
So
about what
that
they could.
includes
I'm just
everything
talking
we're
about. It doesn't matter what they would do, because I agree, no one would ever make that because it's a bad kayak. That'd be like making.
No, it's not a bad kayak. It's not a kayak
Why
because
not?
it's too wide.
What if
It's
it?
wider than it is long.
But that can't be paddle. So that ruins the definition. That's what. So that's what I'm saying.
No, this is a better definition than your definition.
That's a what? Let them vote. Whose definition is better? Is it paddle, or is it paddle ability, or is it shape? Let the people decide.
They literally lend themselves to each other, but you're trying to say like this one can't be a part of my definition.
Well, that's what you're saying too. So no. I'm not saying it can. I'm saying automatically would be.
You wouldn't
let
change
the
your
people
mind
decide.
at all.
Chaz, who are we? Who are we going with here?
Well, Chaz is trying to figure out how to formulate a yes/no.
Whose definition is better of a kayak, Paul's or Jeff's? Boom, done. All right.
Wow.
While that transpires, and we get the offside.
What makes a canoe?
Royale,
what makes a canoe?
Because they're paddleable.
That's a kayak, though, by your definition. So, what makes a canoe different from a kayak?
Because you don't use a paddle. You use a one-sided oar.
Could you paddle a canoe, or is it depth in the canoe that makes it hard to paddle it? With a
it's actually, I think it's the length, because you have to have two people, and it's just way more efficient, I think, to have a heavier paddle in a canoe.
What if
and I also don't think that they had those when canoes existed.
Two-sided paddles, no.
Yeah.
They
I
were
think that more than any. I think oars more than the other thing. But
oars would fall into what we were talking about earlier with subs.
Yeah.
Stand-up paddle.
That's why it's definitely not a kayak. That's why I go back to if it's paddleable, that's why I'm always. It seems simpler to me and more accurate. Just my opinion of the situation.
Okay. I'm going with, who was it? Randy said longer than it is wide.
Yeah, there you go. With that. You guys,
which makes it paddleable. But
there you go. Yeah. There you go. We'll give it a minute. Let's talk about some of why this actually matters.
That was fun.
It was fun.
Stupid, pointless argument.
Well, yeah, that's what we're here for, guys. So let's talk about
really the show.
Duh. It should be in the description, actually. So like
we argue about stupid things that don't matter.
Well, it was a dumb argument that got us to this dumb argument. Anyways, that's how we got here.
A bunch of dumb comments got us here.
I will say this though. I think there's a couple of reasons why this really matters. So as somebody who's marketing these for a sale, you really got to think about the price point of one of these big things, right? Well, what is the Michigan Outdoorsman says?
The Go Boat.
I seen one of those round boat thingies, the Go Boat, the other day. It was trolling, motor powered. I never know what to call them. It's called the Go Boat, but we call it the Foot Chopper 9000.
It's the meat grinder.
It really is what it is, because guys, you can absolutely just stick your foot right down into that prop and lose an appendigi.
It's really
not great. It's not a great situation. Okay, so let's look at
what about this one from Ted?
The Old Town Sportsman with the kayak seat.
Canoe kayak hybrid. The one with seat?
The only reason it's not a canoe, because you're talking about the Adventure, the Discovery 10 or something like that. It's a really cool boat. I want one. Yeah, I want one really bad. I would never buy an Ascend over an Old Town. That's especially paddle it. That's horrific.
Well, I'm just saying Ascend also had the same kind of like hybrid canoe kayak thing. Yeah.
The only reason I would call it a kayak is because it's meant to be with a kayak paddle. If it was designed and marketed as like a paddle, I'd call it a canoe. I don't think you're wrong either way, though.
Or
I think it's whatever you're using. If I'm using an oar,
canoe.
I'm calling it a canoe that day. If I'm using a double-sided kayak paddle, I'm calling it a kayak that day, which I think is fair.
Fair enough. Yeah, Discovery 119 Solo Sportsman.
Such a cool freaking boat. They have a shorter one too. The 10
really
cool. I've always thought that one was really cool. All right, so it was really close. Yeah, it's very close. So Jeff 52, Paul 47.
That was close. Holy crap.
Jeff takes the dub on that one, but it's pretty close. So, but you guys get the idea. You have to be able to paddle it, and it has to be thinner, and kayak-ish in shape.
Which leans itself to paddle ability. Yeah. It's funny that we were arguing vehemently about something that was the same thing, pretty much.
Yeah, 100%.
I love when we do that.
It's minutia, baby. We are who we are. All right. So, but what I want to kind of talk about is go ahead.
I feel pretty good about where we landed on definition. Where do we want to go from here?
I want to talk about kind of some people talked about why does this matter, right? Like what's the impact and why are we even talking about it? Why would you get so heated about this?
Who cares?
Well, I don't, but I think there's a couple of things. One, obviously as these really big kayaks start getting bass boat features, more and more of them, they got the same electronics. We're talking about motors now. We get batteries on board, et cetera, et cetera. We're getting registered. You got lights. this actually ends up like kind of bothering people and makes the price point a little weird, because the price point for that kayak is now inching into the 15,000-20,000 for like a super high end, biggest, brandest, newest with all the electronics and everything. You could spend 20 grand pretty easily.
It's like when people soup up their car, like they buy that base model. Like, oh, my car was 20 grand.
But now I have
70K into it.
Exactly.
That's like where kayak tournament fully rigged out, kitted out, which isn't for everybody. And it doesn't matter to,
but it's for some people,
95% of
for a lot of people.
But it is a very big niche, big enough for companies to be
corner. It's a corner, and it's a half the room, I would say, wants that.
But the thing is, like, you're gonna buy your kayak at $2,000, 28 PWR, 2K, 2,800 XTR, right? And then you're gonna put easily 8 to 12 onto it. Right?
Yeah,
like that's
if you're doing that. So what that does is it puts you in a boat territory, and that's actually where people are coming from, right? People are coming back and saying, well, why wouldn't you just buy a boat? And that kind of brings up like a valid question, like why wouldn't you maybe just buy a bass boat, which is a different machine entirely? And then and then you're talking about trailers, right? And then now also there's this idea that like kayaks shouldn't cost that much. They really shouldn't cost
that much. Shouldn't be required to be trailered.
They should be cheap. They should be throw and go. They should be light, etc., etc., and they should be person powered. That's like a common theme.
That's the funny part is there's this corner for the big rigged out tournament rigs, and then there's this corner for the like throw and go, weighs 10 pounds, like nothing on it. And both of those corners are neat places to be.
Yes.
And you can have fun in both those
Jeff
corners.
and I have actually multiple times. Jeff's been in a, $10,000-$15,000 setup, and I've been in a paddle kayak. We did a whole season like that. And the last couple of seasons,
and I did the season before that.
My rigs have been pretty basic. And our fishing hasn't like diverged like really at all, even in those situations. And it's like, I don't know why it bothers people, but it really bothers people. It really ticks people off.
This is great. Big guy in a little boat gets it. I have 4 kayaks and a bass boat. Why pigeonhole yourself? No reason. And like the other end of this too is the most common comment that we get on those big boats is you should have bought a boat. Just get a bass boat. Bass boats are the same price as that if you get a 1985 Nitro or something.
They're not.
First of all, you're wrong. Second of all, like John boats,
disingenuous. It's so disingenuous.
Because they're expecting you to find that diamond in the rough bass boat that's in good shape for
from
2K.
Mexico. It was like everyone's like, well, what I did is I had it handed down to me for free. I'm like, okay, well,
let's get to that real quick, because the other part of this is that people will say just get a John boat. John boats can do that and more. John boats can get where a kayak is or kayaks are, right? And yes, to an extent, they're totally mobile, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with the John boat. So first, if we're going to have a fair argument, we can't sit here and be like, don't buy a John boat, which
I would never say that.
No, we never will. Get a John boat if you want one.
Yeah.
Don't sit here and be like kayaks are pointless, because they're not.
That's just factually incorrect.
Exactly. Just get a John boat. The thing I was thinking about the other day is like for you to do what you want on the XTR on a John boat, you're going to pump a ton of money into it, and it won't be exactly it's not going to be anywhere close, right? To rig it out the way that you can rig out an XTR, for example, you got to build that deck. You got to get your trolling motor on the front.
Yeah, you got carpet. Yeah, the wiring,
carpeted,
the battery,
storage.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff, and
accessibility.
But there is stuff built for John boats, so that stuff is out there to make that a little easier and kits and all that kind of stuff. But look, the John boat's going to be more expensive. And anytime you're buying a motor, like a legit, 12 upwards horse motor, like you're going to pay for that.
And if it's
they're like
gas,
15 grand new, 10 grand new. So not that I'm saying buying new, but like that's what the new ones are, and they hold their value extremely well. So you don't 10 grand doesn't disappear. That's when you buy that used, that's 8,000. Like period.
This is the argument, Chris Ross, I always get back when people tell me I should have bought a boat. I'm like, listen, if you love boats, have boats. The reason I don't have one is because Paul and I both have already had them. We've had John boats. Yep. We had them trailered. We've done the trailer thing.
I've done the motor thing. I've done the repair thing. I've done the electronics thing. Yeah, we've done the registration thing. I've done I have to unload all my stuff every time thing. Like, dude, no, it's not for me. I recognize that it's great for other people. It's just not for me.
Yeah, exactly. And same thing. Who's it? JC Dropshot was out of a boat for like 2 years because he had one issue in the welding.
He's like, I feel like I'm like,
like, bro, you get it's all right. So that's just the thing that worries me. But anyways. Arguments can be made on both sides. We're just saying it's pointless to be like that shouldn't exist, because
Yeah, like I would never say that to a John boat or a bass boat owner.
That's
like,
dumb. I think John boats can be really sick, and like they have a
but
great
you
purpose.
could see how it's kind of bothering people to say like, well, that's kayak, because it's really not. They're like, that's not even. And you have to think about yourself too, as somebody who maybe has got to fish against those people in a tournament, or even just go fish the same lake. And so that goes to like, has a new line been crossed now that these are so big and they can take so much stuff, and now that they're designed in this way, like for maybe 2 people to be on, right? Like, and the motors are getting bigger. We just came out with a 6 horsepower electric equivalent, right? So it's like
all of them, Ramon. Thanks to Ramon for the super chat for $5. Real question is, which one is the best watercraft to eat dino nuggies out of? Anyone you want, brother. And then that will bring world peace, like in the fishing industry. Everybody just eat your dino nuggies and shut up.
But one thing, like I could see how someone who's in a paddle kayak, they hit the launch, homeboy rolls up in an autopilot, parks it 30 feet off, goes and gets his coffee, comes back, remotes it back, steps on, remotes out, and just absolutely dusts somebody paddling to the best spot, catches a bunch of fish, dips out after pooping all over the spot, and you're like, what was that? What am I doing here? Right?
Yeah.
Like the disparity between a sit inside paddle and an
I
autopilot is insane. So I could see how people are a little bit saucy. I don't agree with it, but I'm making the case.
If you were in that position where you wanted to, you're like, I really want to get in this kayak fishing scene. I want to do tournaments, and I don't have the money to invest in this boat. And then you go there and it seems like that's the full competitive advantage. It's frustrating. I totally get that. And that's where Paul's saying you could get saucy on it. I get it. There's not really a point though to just ripping apart the people who are not in those tournaments fishing against you, making you mad. They're just people looking at kayaks or thinking a kayak is cool, not related to you at all, and you're just gonna rip them apart. You're just gonna drag them in the comments.
It's really weird.
Listen,
it's really weird.
I get it. It's frustrating. That's where Paul early in the show was saying like, what if, or should we look into tournaments changing where they have that no electronics division, including motors, right? Like it's like, if you want to go back to your roots. I was trying to talk to somebody in the comments that was trying to drag us on the XTR, even though it's not our boat. First of all, I should probably say it's not our boat. We don't have one. We don't have any plans of getting one. Like, so first of all, not my problem, man. You're yelling at Hans essentially. The thing is, like with that conversation, I was trying to say, look, man, why don't you get with your buddies and start a kayak league that is no electronics? You could just do that. You can get Tourney X. You could set up your own tournaments. You can grab a bunch of buddies. You can
they have. Fishing. I'm pretty sure if you look,
I'm sure they exist.
Paddle, yeah, I think you could. I would.
So
bet you
don't enter those tournaments where everybody's using the electronics. I mean, it's like going into pro fishing right now with it's
the same thing we heard with the forward-facing sonar. People were complaining about their local derbs. People would have it, and most wouldn't, and it would it was ticking people off, right? Because the dudes are winning tournaments, and it feels like they're buying it, right? Like if you have this advantage, you can't argue with that advantage. And I'll tell you, like an electric motor does feel like that. Like, could you imagine someone with an NK300 and you come up with pedals and you're like on a place like we were in Alabama, like Eufaula or something?
Brother, this. Remember when I went here?
About, dude. That's
I was
just pointing at his hat.
I was so outclassed in the Kayak Adventure Series as far as setup. I was restricted to the lakes, and the winners were in the rivers, but they were not only just in the rivers, they were running. They were running upriver a distance. The guy that won ran up 7 miles. I could not do that in my Titan X with a bow mount motor. So first of all, I couldn't buy a win out of that one. Had I invested into a slightly smaller craft designed for rivers with an NK300, I probably could have done a lot better at that tournament. I'm not saying I would have placed it all, but I would have done better than the place I did.
And imagine being a paddle kayaker in that situation, knowing you couldn't even get to the river from the launch. So,
first of all, Drew's father-in-law was in that. He was in the tournament for funsies, and he was paddle only, and he went up the White River like as far as Rob Harrison and I did.
Oh God!
And we just passed him 3 times. He was just smoking a cigar, like just cat. He's like, "Hey, I got a few. It's been fun."
Dad life, baby.
I
respect it.
He made us breakfast at the Kayak Adventure Series Saturday event. They did the little luncheon or breakfast and learn kind of deal. Brunch and Learn, I think they called it. Yeah, good food. Guy's a good cook. If you guys go to any kayak adventure series, say hi to him and make sure you say thank you for all the food, because probably cooking at every event for Drew's.
Would you mind highlighting J Rod's comments?
This one?
Yeah, so J Rod said those specific, meaning pedal only tournaments already happened, like we were talking about. But he goes, but this is important. He says, the thing is, there's more people that want to tournament fish with electronics and all the accessories than people who want to fish them without.
100%.
And that's the thing, guys. Like we're like
it won't be big money,
but
it
it's
won't
like
be big
people will be
money.
like, you. Some people were saying in comments about the XTR, the big kayak from Bonafide, they're like, you shouldn't make that. Kayaks should be small. And I'm going, why do you think they made that huge kayak, bud? Why do you think they did that? Do you think they did that just because they thought it was cool? Or do you think that they have been doing research on this for almost a decade to figure out what people want? And they're watching other big kayaks fly off the shelves. They made the most modern version of it that's out right now until the wilderness system comes out. And they make the most premium. Let's just be honest. So they're making the most premium, the biggest kayak out there right now. And I guarantee you, they are going to blow the flipping doors off with that thing.
It's like
you know why I know that? Look at the other side of the comment section. There's only two sides. 25%
despise
people
it,
who thought it was silly and stupid for whatever reason. 75% were like, where do I buy this? And why won't you sell it to me yesterday? So they are going to they're going to kill it with that one.
Let's address the fear that comes out of that too, because I think there's a level where people are just like, oh no, kayaks are getting away from the type of kayak that I want to use. And maybe they're afraid that these companies are only going to focus on big kayaks. And I would argue that there are actually a bunch of companies that specifically do not do that. Crescent is one
baby.
of them. Crescent is here for human powered. I would love to see them potentially have a pedal, but I don't think it fits.
They made a skiff.
They made the skiff.
Sick one.
You could throw motors on those things if you want to, but they're like kind of designed to their
the whole point of those is for
human power.
Human power only.
So
and they're not they're
not the only ones either.
New Canoe is making paddle only still. Old Town certainly making paddle only options. So and they're out there.
Ramon Outdoors, thank you again for another super chat. $5, appreciate you, man. I fished 3 tournaments out of my paddle kayak, and it feels like I'm racing a NASCAR with the tricycle against these pedal and motors, dude. 100%. And I even feel that with the XI3 when everybody's got a Newport. So I was fishing with like Rob and this other guy Brian that I met at the thing, and when we were doing kayak adventure series, they had the Newport 180s. They're just blowing me away. I'm on the XI3. Like, hope I get to that spot soon.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So yeah, I totally get a level of frustration there where it's, I want to be able to do this. It's not in my budget or for whatever reason, like it just doesn't work for you. That can be frustrating. It's like not being able to buy the best truck that I want to buy. I get the truck that I can get, there's always going to be that element. However, if I see somebody drive up in a high country, I'm not like, get bent, loser. I hope you crash your truck.
Yeah. If you like vets, that's how you must spend your money.
Like,
go nuts.
That's a cool truck, man.
Yeah. Dope. Go to Lucas Flint's comment real quick, if you don't mind. He says, Lucas
sorry,
Flint
Chaz,
says,
hands off. Whoa.
He says, I'm with Elizabeth Z, who was commenting earlier. He says, I want a kayak I can manhandle myself in and out of a truck alone.
Totally.
Dude, after
a lot of people do.
After the couple that I've rigged with motors, I can tell you right now, I'm like I'm 100% team New Canoe because of their EPS system that gets rid of a lot of the weight from the bracket, and then B allows you to take the motor off the thing entirely in like 2 seconds. And what that does is once you get that out, that is one of the lighter boats out there. The whole thing's way under 100 pounds flat. So that becomes all of a sudden, they have a handle that's designed for you to big beefy 2 handle in the back, huge handle in the back for 2 hands. And that is a huge deal to me because I've almost died a bunch of times, even trying to do my Old Town the way that you load it into a truck bed. The way that I don't love it, guy. And that's a 10.5, and it's pretty light as it is, and I still don't like it. So I'm with you, and I do think that this is where I think the inflatables, man, we got to talk about it. Like they're adapting, dude. They're gonna be big. Like after being, you guys can't wait to show you this video of the fly water. You're gonna It'll
Oh,
totally change your mind.
I loaded the Flywater by myself. There's your spoiler alert. And I loaded it by
With
hip checking
ease.
it.
Yeah, with ease. I carried the whole thing with the I carried the whole thing with the motor on it and the
Yeah.
battery
Yeah.
like it was nothing.
Yep.
Nothing, dude. I can't wait.
Yeah. Also, it's really overbuilt in the pontoons on the underside, so you can just drag it across. We just dragged it across the park.
Didn't even think about it, honestly.
Yeah. No, not at all. I'm starting to love inflatables, man. You're gonna see another one. I'm gonna film with the Eye Attack from Wilderness Systems this
For that
weekend.
one.
So I'll be solo riding, but I got the Wilderness crate that everybody yelled at us for years of not having. We have the Wilderness tackle crate now, and then we have the Wilderness Systems Eye Attack inflatable. It's gonna be really sick. It just dropped in March this year. We saw it at ICAST last year, and as soon as we went to the Wilderness booth, they like beelined us and they're like, "Yo, you gotta get in this thing." We're like, "Yes, please, we'll take that."
It blows my mind how it looks just like a kayak. It doesn't look like.
I love that. For those that don't know, the Eye Attack is, I believe, 1110. It's close to. It's just under 12 feet, and it is. It's got a kayak seat, like a standard tube designed kayak seat that folds down with tool holders, and it also has a stand
platform. Yeah,
and it's gonna be stable AF. I can't wait to fish out of it.
But it's an exact shape of like you. If you really didn't know it was an inflatable, you saw it from a distance, you'd never think it was an inflatable. So it's kind of like the boat.
It really does look like it. Yeah,
like a Lono. Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Do we hit the meat and potatoes of this argument? I think we.
Yeah, I think so. I still don't. My opinion, I do not think it's unfair competition. It sucks because the technology is new, so it's still really expensive and kind of unattainable. So I don't like that.
However,
you can still do very well in a pedal.
The Eagle,
kayak.
the Lowrance Eagle is coming out. Like,
that's great. I'm very excited. But that's my point. Like with the Lowrance Eagle, like they had once all these expensive ones came out, I was like, someone's gonna make a cheap one. They have to. And then not even a year later, here it is. And I guarantee you there will be more. A whole bunch more that come out. $1,000 to get into that is honestly, it's a regular system. A cheap one is like 500. So
dude, the interesting thing too to me as well is like when I'm seeing the XTR, when I see the PWR, when I see even the Titan, I'm like, wow, kayak price to me, having bought kayaks of this, tier
caliber. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, cool, prices are coming down. And then people are constantly just like, yo, why are kayaks so expensive now? I see we saw $2,800 on the XTR. We were like, oh, free? Sick.
I mean, it seemed I will say I agree. I thought that was a reasonable price, high but reasonable. When I hear the Tactical Pro is only 2,200 or 2,300, that's where I'm like, it's a little more value. That is such a deal. Like,
but pre-wired,
that feels, yeah,
dude, well thought out, pre-wired. Remote Outdoors. I can't even talk. Remote Outdoors. Welcome aboard as a member. We'll see you at the members only live, man. Ramon wants to know behind the scenes. Ramon was there with us in 21. We were there with Monster Bass, and we partied that last night. We were hanging out with them a little bit. You'll hear those kind of behind the scenes. No, we worked too hard.
Wasn't that serious?
No, it wasn't. We worked too hard to go to those parties, unfortunately. I heard the Costa party this year was lame. Oh no.
Costa I could have drawn that one out for you, bud.
You draw me a picture of it? Cool.
It'd be an empty room, just crickets.
Can't wait. Just crickets. And Rick playing the drums on stage. That was one of my favorite moments from 21. All right. Oh, this is something we'll have to do this on a different conversation. I think inflatables are not practical here in Florida with all the oyster bars. I think we don't have oysters here, so I can't talk to that. I'm not too worried about that. I hear you to an extent. The other thing I hear often from Floridians is gators. They're like, oh, a gator's going to come chomp that inflatable.
I don't love that.
Seems like a legitimate concern to me as well. So I'm not going to go ahead and be like, oh, you're wrong, because I'm not in that situation. No idea. I can definitely hear where you're coming from. So, I think ultimately the main thing we want to get across with this, right, is like, who cares what you call it? We kind of defined what we feel the definition of kayak is. And if we know that, looking at the XTR, we'd say that's a kayak. It's maybe not the kayak for you, but it's a kayak.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, like, aren't we all here to just have fun and fish and like enjoy the great outdoors, the out of doors? That's what we're here for. So just have fun with that.
Yep.
So if you guys know any people dragging others in the comments, tell them to knock it off. Slap them on the wrist. Turn them into a kayak with the kayak paddle.
Don't do that. Do not assault any of our commenters, please.
I mean, you do what you want. You live your life.
But don't do that in your life.
No. If you want to, though.
Oh, no.
Tell them Paul sent you.
Yep.
Tell them it's Paul's idea. I heard it on this show with this guy.
Some glass guy. I don't know.
Not the other guy. Paul did it. The other guy's innocent. I swear.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, it was a lot of fun. I have fun talking about this. When
are we
have
slow
civil
rolling?
Discourse. Yeah, I think we roll into slow rolling thunder.
So I'm going to say, what's up, Hank? Bassgeek is in the house. What's up, buddy?
Yo, Hank, how you doing? We got to catch up. Bassgeek, when do you want to come back on the show? I'm putting you on blast in chat right now.
Very rudely. Thanks for joining us. Also, you have a to do.
Also, when are you coming back on the show? Just saying, let's do a live again ASAP.
All right. We have some questions. We have the number one in the slow rolling thunder. What retro game would you have no problem replaying right now with no guide? Retro being like PlayStation 2 or after or before PlayStation 2?
Dude, for us, anything retro is technically like before PlayStation 4.
I know. I just want to make sure.
So for me, I'm asking you, I would say it's the PS2 N64 era and before.
Okay, tight. I'm good with that.
Okay, so
I've got a long list. The list is long. I'll do some of my favorites.
I said what game, not what game.
So let me get through this list here. I get out like a whole sheet.
The entire
phone. I'm
Nintendo catalog.
No, this was pre-GameCube. So I would say easily like speed run Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Yep.
Super Mario. Bro. World
Mario
Absolutely.
64.
Yes. Oh my god.
Or Super Mario World Super NES. Yeah, same.
Both. And
I would say any Mario game.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
Literally hand me
I would agree. I would agree with that. And yeah, party party all night. The other one would be the last one I would say that would be very easy would be GoldenEye.
Yeah, and that's
I could do that in my
fun speed runs.
My sleep.
Yep.
That'd be my list probably.
So I asked for one, but that's fine. Thanks for the list.
One N64 heavy. I didn't think PlayStation 2 counted, but there's many games that would fall in there.
There are a lot
any
on
GTA
PS2 for sure. Yeah, GTA.
Oh my god. Oh, I take Vice City, bro. Oh my god. I put so many hours in that one summer in college when I was doing summer school.
I feel like anybody our age did. Vice City was on constantly.
I would just eat blocks of cheese and eat pickles and then just play that.
I told you I would do the tank cheat. I would turn the turret around. I would go as fast as I could and destroy the entire city.
I used to load up on. I would do
times.
Unlimited bombs, and I would just drive around in cars, keep dropping bombs, and try and get away from the cops. You know how hard that is, just with grenades. It's fun though.
Dude, going 6 stars and trying to stay.
Oh
alive
no, so I would always save a game at the top of in Vice City. There's a parking structure, the expensive one, and it has all different cars. There's a Ferrari at the top, and then below that is like a speedy truck. So you have multiple options of the type of vehicle just right there. And then I would have saved it with the code rocket launcher, unlimited ammo, and then I would break the window, shoot 3 rockets into the street, get all my stars, run downstairs to get the car I want, launch myself into the street, and then it was like on. And we would used to see who could go the longest. Or escape the fastest between my brothers and I. So we'd all take turns.
I would steal the Apache helicopter, and
that was if you could get that, but getting to the Joppa now is not as easy as you would think.
It's so fun. I would say any Mario game I would have no problem with. I don't care what generation it is. Up to now.
Let's go.
Zelda, any of the Zeldas, and I would actually say this is like such a slept on game for me, but Banjo-Kazooie.
BK
and Banjo-Tooie, both of them I could play through.
No I feel you, but like Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer was so much better, and that's where I would waste my time.
Just hard disagree, but also it was fun.
Racer. Oh my god, the negotiating on Tatooine for all your parts, dude, I freaking love it.
Do you know like the most
NFL Blitz 2000? Can we talk about NFL Blitz 2000? I'm going full fire, and I'm going to only run 3 plays: zigzag, or gut punch. And you know
And
what? I don't even need the third play. I'm actually good.
The most obscure racing game that we played on N64 was Beetle Adventure Racing.
I don't even know.
It was
Do I know that one?
Volkswagen Beetles.
Oh, I do know what that one is. Yeah, that's right. I was thinking Need for Speed. That's what I was thinking.
Well, Need for Speed too, but like Beetle Adventure Racing
Yeah.
was surprisingly fun.
So much better. Yeah, I would agree.
All right. Anyways, I got some questions for chat here and you as well, Paul, if we have any ideas. This is content related. This is basically like, what do you want to see us do on this channel? Because this channel's for you guys. I mean, we get to fish and have fun, but it's also, we're making this content obviously for you. We want you to enjoy it. So the first one would be about the inflatables. What would you guys love to see us do with the knowing that we have the Isle Flywater? It's like more similar to a raft, but it's a hybrid kayak. And then you've got the Wilderness Systems Eye Attack inflatable, which is an inflatable kayak, has a kayak seat, all that stuff. What kind of fishing would you like us to do with that? Any tests you want us to do? Don't say just like stab it with a knife. We may potentially still do that, but we have both of them come with repair kits. Repairing is pretty simple. I think maybe like I don't want to, but we could just stab a tube and see what happens.
Definitely gonna do that. I'm doing it. There's no. I just want to make the video. I don't even care about the result.
Yeah, fine. We'll stab the kayaks. But what else do you want us to do with the inflatables?
I'll tell you guys what I want to do. I want to take it to a river, and I want to kind of get it when it's a little thick and grimy, and get them both out there and see how it goes. Right? Just get them in a paddle only situation. I think that's really important because I also think that's like a bonus. Standing test. So I was gone.
We got to do that like in the next month.
That guy, he I can't. It's just gobbledygook.
So, pronounce his name. I don't understand.
All right, go for it.
Don Stivijda adds good to go.
Exactly.
I did way better than you.
Okay.
dumb.
So Don Stivijda, he asked for a standing test on inflatable. So I'll just give you a quick version of this. Jeff and I were both standing on the Flywater, the 12.9 from Isle inflatable, with the motor going and turning around and casting and fishing for long periods of time. And
I stood on the seat. it's obscene, and we can do that. We'll one of these weekends coming up when we fish together, we're going to take out both inflatables. Whether we hit the river or lake, we'll decide on that. But maybe that's the day we take the tackle stuff out. No rods, no tackle to lose, and we just go try and flip them and go for a swim because it's hot. Got to do that in the summer for sure.
Facts.
So we'll definitely have a blast with that. I can't wait till Basky. Can't wait till they make a plastic boat I can put a 250 on. 105 miles an hour. You're just gonna be doing backflips, but hey, I'm here. We're
all just biding our time.
All right. Hook resistant test, puncture resistant test. Yeah, I think if we're gonna puncture the damn thing, like we're gonna do it that way. Like realistic things that will happen.
Like keep pulling it until it goes.
I'm gonna drag a swim bait hook up the tube on the side and see if it jacks into the material.
I won't tell you that it's not possible because it is. It kind of depends on the shape of the kayak too. But Jeff and I were talking about this. Now they have these welded in, like sewn onto the end of the material. The ability to use like regular Yak Attack tracks. And accessories. And so the not short stacks. What are those pods called? I keep forgetting what they're called.
The what?
Little Yak Attack trays.
Oh, the track packs.
Track packs. Thank you. So those little track packs, you can put those around, and that solves your storage problem. Cup holders, that does it too. Busby also was a huge win for us having that. And so honestly, I think hooks floating around you can really minimize just by having some really simple accessories like that.
Just be smart about that.
And it pretty much goes down to 0 other than what's in the boat. And I think you would have to really put some pressure on something, like accidentally do like a flipping hook as hard as possible to actually puncture one of these things. That like it's really, I don't really think it's going to happen. And big guy on little boat says hooks won't puncture it unless you do it on purpose. Fins, fish fins are most likely to puncture it, like a catfish. Is the one because they've got a freaking sword on their face.
If we're going for bass, we threw a bunch of bass around it this weekend.
I had zero
There's
fear
no
whatsoever.
way.
None. 0.0.
Ted would know. Ted used rafts all the time. He fishes the river. He guides on the river. He takes people out into an inflatable. I've been with him on it. Paul's been with him on it. It's a sick inflatable too.
I've been on a bunch of inflatables fly fishing. Like
so,
and that stuff we drag that stuff up. No thought about what you're
all the rocks, everything.
Never lift it. What's the point?
Yep. Said put a hook through a floor of it and it's an easy 5-minute patch. So yeah, that's something we can mess around with. I definitely am excited about checking out the river. I really want to put a bigger motor on it and like actually rip up river. I think we could do okay with the Bixby and maybe a paddle assist. But it would be nice.
Well, the nice thing is you have the paddle. So like if it really comes down to it, just paddle. Like it's not it's so light. It doesn't even matter.
Yep. I did want to call out somewhere up here. I think it was Heather said I missed the on the water reviews. We've done like on the water unboxings. The reviews.
There's one.
I thought back in the day the Reels is technically an on the water review that's coming out Friday. So we are comparing the high tech reels. Do you need a high tech reel? Right. We compared the SLX DC, Corrado DC, and the new iReel 2 from Cast King. We're on the water doing that. Love to do more on the water stuff. Heather, honestly, it's just like hard to have 4 hours to fish and take away 2 of them filming. To be honest, like that's what we have short time to fish every time we get
out. The aisle, we filmed something real quick, and then we filmed us filling up the aisle with air. We didn't start fishing till 11.
Yeah, exactly my point. And I was off the water by 2. So it's like I want to spend as much time actually fishing. I was like, but I hear you, and we'll see what else we can review on the water. I think that would be fun too. Okay, so I think we got some good ideas out of that. Let's go out on this one. What are some other fishing videos that you guys would be interested in seeing? It could be like fishing specific baits, a specific way, river, lake, whatever. It could also be maybe just any product reviews that we haven't done yet. Trust me, we have a ton coming from iCast. We made a lot of connections and we made a lot of friends and we've been talking to them in the past couple of weeks and we get some stuff to try. So that'll be good for us, good for you guys. We'll have some reviews coming out of that. And obviously we'll let you know what we got for free from iCast and we'll give our honest opinion like we always do. But yeah, any like fishing specific content you want. You guys know Michigan. We've got a few months left and we're going to be off the water again.
Yeah.
Which is so sad.
Last year we were into November.
We can go. We're probably going to do it again. If it's another mild winter, which it probably will be.
The water temp easily.
Yeah. Yeah. We can. I would also love to like get better at super cold water techniques. Maybe bust out some spoons and stuff and like try some different things. I think that'll be fun as well. But yeah, if there's anything you guys want to see, just let us know. We'll get after it. Can't get enough river smallmouth. Me neither. Would love to. I tried to get a wading video done the other day. I caught like a bunch of little dinkies and it was just super boring way to fish. And I mean, we could post those videos if you guys want to. I never feel good about it. Also, the river was kind of off that day. It was weird. Water was high. The camera was mostly underwater when I was wading. So it had just been like water shots. Yeah. I looked at the footage and most of it was like the lens was right on the surface of the water.
Holy crap. I wouldn't have even been able to go.
I swam a lot. It was just not great. But maybe I could have made some content out of that. I don't know. We've been backed up on content. That's also why I've been doing it. But we'll mess around with that. More tutorials like the old Ned Rig videos. Yeah, totally. We could look into some of those. It's a little tougher. It's kind of like YouTube doesn't like those for some reason. They don't get the reach that all the other videos do. That's the only reason we don't. But we can do that. Plus, like, there's a million tutorials out there. But if we can put our own special spin on something and make it fun, we could do more of those, I think.
I usually do those in shorts.
And over the winter when we have nothing else to do, unfortunately. But yeah, you're right. Paul has moved a lot of that type of content to shorts. However, it's been inundated with products recently because of iCast. So maybe we can start filming more of those and get them out. If not,
I haven't even gotten
shorts.
I haven't even gotten Hubert the duck out into the world yet.
Herbert.
I know.
Herbie
Heidi.
is right here. All right.
Carol.
Should have been up here the whole. I'm gonna like glue him to this thing so he's
Hanson.
always here with us.
Hans.
So hot right
So
now.
hot right now.
Oh man. Lucas Flint says similar bait comparisons, Jeff Paul competitions. So many copies out there. Should be easy to find some. Yeah, you're right. We've done
visited
that.
the Jackal booth this year. We could talk about our experience there as well.
That's the funny thing too.
Members
is
only,
like
baby.
people were like, they're still saying Craig is a direct copy of the Jackal Riser. Well, there's a new actual direct,
a new
copy
double copy of the Jackal Riser
from the same. Well, not the same company. Sorry, different company.
Yeah,
one's Berkeley, one is Strike King. home of the
Vader.
bold copies this year. The boldest copiers in town.
That was pretty bad. Even him describing it was like him reading the description of the riser. I was like, that seems plagiarized.
Yeah.
Anyways, you guys want to hear more on that? Check out the members only.
Yep. Ramon Outdoors, you're right. I should rig more worms with a bump in them so that people can freak out about Texas rigging. I'm going to do a wacky and just like, oh no, Herbie. I'm just going to like rig it through the tip of the worm. Just rage bait them. All right. Chris Shue, member for 32 gosh dang months. Love you, buddy. Thanks for being here. Yeah, what do you suggest for a fish finder around $500 to $900 for a kayak? Side view not needed. Oh, well, you can get well under 900 then if you don't even.
Yeah, I agree.
View. So I mean, I love the Garmin's. They do make 5 and 7 inch models that are great. You can check those out.
I'd go the Echo 7 all day.
Yeah. And you could do, if you're not doing even the side imaging, you get their base level transducer. That should be well under $900.
I think you're right there.
Yeah.
The quality on the Garmin, you guys, I'm here to tell you. Tried a couple in my day.
That's sick.
I'm sure the nicer end ones are much, much better, but the Garmin, if it's not as good, it's better. I've really been happy with mine. I would, all day. Super nice. The new Lowrance Eagle, I'd like to tell you to get it. I think you should try it if it's all you can afford or that's what you want to afford. I haven't used it, so I really don't know.
It'll probably be...
I'm okay telling people to try it, but just know that I have not.
It'll probably be solid, but yeah, we haven't used it, and we probably won't. DeBurley says we should get a I'm a Kayak shirt. Listen,
you're a kayak.
You remember how well the I'm a Spider or I'm a Frog shirt sold?
We got 3 of them, 2 to us.
We bought 2 of them.
Yeah.
Somebody did buy it. Who did buy it? Was it DeBurley? It was somebody told us.
It was
like,
great.
oh, I got one.
I love that thing.
Person that did it. I'm so happy about that. All right, you guys, awesome. I think we covered a lot of stuff. We had a lot of fun here. Like we said, next members only live is August 13th, so that's coming up soon. Lots of new members coming in tonight, so be there. It's behind the scenes iCast. What really went down at iCast? You don't know.
Nothing.
Nothing. Same old. And we also will have some giveaways on that episode too. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. You guys are awesome. We love you, and we will catch you. Is it just me next week, Paul? You're out next week? It's your birthday, right?
I'm out, not because it's my birthday, but because I am
work.
I will be in California.
Work trip. All right, so no Paul next week, but you got me, and talking to Source Crate on that episode.
Yep. That's right.
All right, we do have a guest with an innovative product that is a small business. So we're going to talk to him about it, and we're gonna grill him since it's just me. I'm going to ask him all the tough questions. It'll be very mean.
How are you voting in the next election? What's your social security number? Why don't you love your mother?
What would your mother say about this? No, it'll be a lot of fun. So cool kayak crate design, something we feel is pretty neat and unique. We actually have our hands on one. It's in our crate video. You'll see it in that in like a week or 2. But anyways, I'll be back next Wednesday. Paul won't. We love you. Have a good night. Chaz, take us out.